I have a document I want to share with the group. Let's see, I have one second here. It is I am let's see, one second here. It says host disabled attendee screen sharing. When I try to share.
I'll make you a host right now. Here, hold on. Okay. Make you co-host. All right, thanks. There you go. You're all set. Okay.
Okay, first off, thanks again. And Tim, thanks for everything you've done for this group and great conversation last week. I appreciate the time you guys are giving me. It's been a great several months with you guys. I love to network and I love to interview. So this process for me is more of a competition. And I just recently landed a consulting role this week. And I'm still looking for another job as well, but this is a consulting role that could lead to a potential job. And this happened through contacting someone on a cold call through LinkedIn, a CEO of a startup company in real estate. So I've had several conversations over the week, and they want to bring me on to access my network to land deals to sell commercial real estate deals. So my background, I think many of you guys know, 20 years on Wall Street, capital markets, MBA in finance, master's in strategic communication. I do motivational speaking as well. I'm a high school rugby player, a high school rugby coach. I play rugby, amateur baseball player several years ago. And I love pressure situations. So I have two quotes here at the beginning here I'm going to go through before I get into the meat of this discussion. One is the commitment to the process without being emotionally attached to the results. All of us here are looking for full-time jobs that we want to basically elevate our current status and basically elevate where we were before. So the important thing is that your perspective drives your performance. So if you're going to sit around and say, oh, this is hard, this is difficult, none of this is difficult. The name of this game is relationships. And basically, my whole thing is that you have to be positive at all times and show great appreciation to the people that you're speaking with. So anytime you cold call someone, which I'll go through in a second, the most important thing for me is that they know that I appreciate what they're doing for me, and I'll help them in the future if they need any help. So that for me is a baseline. I almost, in some circumstances, would rather them know I appreciate it than actually get the job in some circumstances. And it sounds kind of crazy, but it's all about gratitude and being gracious. So the other thing is how I do anything is how I do everything. That's my favorite quote. It's about character integrity. I'm going to treat a homeless person like I'm going to treat the CEO of a company. It doesn't matter to me what their status is. They're a person. So in this job search, in this networking, I'm going to contact people and be the same person I am to them as I would anyone on the street. The other thing is I won't be outworked. So the preparation is key. So anything that I get involved with, so for interviewing, I really like it because you can prepare 8 hours, 9 hours for an interview and then go in there and be comfortable and have a nice positive conversation with the person and get across 3 or 4 good points. The other thing is there are no limits. I like to network with senior people because they have that mindset. If you're networking with people in the middle of the company or the middle management, they may have preconceived notions that they can't get ahead, so they'll try to put that on someone else, and you have no time for that. You can accomplish anything you want. The other thing is impose your will. So this is a process where we're under pressure. You've got to accept that, enjoy it, and impose your will on this process. You will get ahead. You will get the job you want. It will happen. And the final thing in this opening is, what is your why? What's going to drive you? For example, Kevin Durant, you guys are, if you're basketball fans, I use this when I talk to high school kids, inner city kids as well. It's he had a coach that passed away when he was just 35 years old. He wears the number 335. Before every game, he touches the 3, touches the 5, looks up to heaven, and says a prayer. He doesn't celebrate when he wins a game in the regular season. He celebrates when he wins a championship, and he's doing it for the number 35 for the coach that drove him. For me, I've always done everything to make my father proud. So this is an extension of that. So the first thing in terms of how I network is on this next page is how to build a powerful network on LinkedIn. Everything for me is about speed. So if you look, the data shows that LinkedIn users spend 17 minutes a month on the site, right? So what I like to do is reach out to seniors in the industry. So if I'm in asset management, I like to go to Goldman, PGIM, JP Morgan, and find out who runs these businesses, right? So I have a 5-step approach on my invitations, and I add a note to them. So for an example, I like to introduce myself, have a 1-sentence background, a 1 sentence on my interest, ask if you're free to speak this week. I want to make it urgent. And then I would say, I appreciate your time. So essentially, I have an example there for when I sent to a private wealth advisor at Goldman, who I now have a friendship with, is I want them to know I'm serious about this connection. And I want them to know that that I respect myself. And showing I respect myself is not having to over elaborate on my background, right? So I want to get to the point as soon as possible. So I have a quick sentence. You know, I risk managed the equity division Americas. Last 13 years at Citi, got a second master's in strategic communication. I'm interested in wealth management. So he knows where I'm coming from. And then the key to this, my invitations is, would you be free to speak this week? So, and this works very well if it's a Wednesday, actually, because what you're saying is it's urgent. So if you're going to say, would you be free to speak this month? They may look at this quick and just discard it. So what I'm saying here is, are you free this week? They're going to answer right away. Either they are or they aren't. And if they're not, that's fine. You move on. And then you appreciate your time. I appreciate your time, in regards, Mike. So what I'm doing is it's straight to the point, and you go for the sale right away. Are you free this week? And they typically accept the invitation. And to be honest with you, for the most part, they don't necessarily reply all the time to your note, but now you have that contact, and that's all you want at that moment. So if they accept the invitation and they don't respond right away, you wait a week, don't click on their profile, don't do anything. And then a week later say, hi, thanks for accepting. Why don't you just pass along my resume? Please find attached. Would you be free for a coffee this week or next? So you want to be a little more flexible at that point, because now they're in your network. Once again, I appreciate your time. Really appreciate it. All the best, Mike. And then now that's how the relationship starts from there. So the job that I just got, basically, I had a friend who was in investor relations, and she didn't see any openings at the time. So what I did is I just contacted the CEO directly, and without a note, because I had some connections in line with her. And at that point, I said, let me just try to send invitations straight. She accepted. And then a week later, I thanked her. Will be great to speak when things slow down. Be safe. Everyone here is very courteous in this group. I know everyone is obviously going through a lot during this period, and it's a nice gesture to just comment, be safe. Hope you're doing well. She responds. Step 2, compliment again, and then try to put a plug in for yourself. She sent me a deck on the company. I'm basically saying, very impressed with what you have. Great presentation. I love to present and build relationships, and it seems that is your company's edge. So tie yourself to her company, right? So now she responds, thanks, spot on, Michael. So then the step 3, a week later, you want to advance it to the where, okay, she didn't have a big response. She didn't ask me a question. So I want to research the market and show my knowledge of the market in a concise way, a paragraph. And then I offer her help in 2 different sites, but you don't want to act as if you're trying to help her. So you say, in case you don't have this information on the last line, 2 quick sites I thought you might like, in case you don't have them, CMA Alert and CoStar, basically saying, I know you're an expert in the industry. You might want to see these if you don't have them. Have a great week. Once again, that's pushing it along the relationship. Then it comes on the phone, and then you get the job. And then another thing I like to do is directly email seniors in the business. When I was at Citigroup, I found that this worked great. So I emailed 8 of the top executives, including the CEO of Citi, and 7 of the people responded. I got coffee with Mike Corbat, all these people, and basically was once again a concise email to the point. I appreciate it. Are you free this week? Can we get together? People like to talk about themselves. So making these connections is a two-way street because they like it as well. So directly emailing seniors, all I do is check for their name, the company, and then I go to Google and I check for the email format. So if I'm looking at RBC, 88% of the time it's going to be first name, last name at RBC. So I know right away I can contact them and it's going to get through. So once again, I'll show some examples of what I wrote. So it's clear, it's concise, it's respectful, and it's gracious. So what I do is first paragraph, introduce myself, how I found the person, what my top line credential is, and then what my interest is. So what I do is this is my template, and the highlighted piece in yellow, I will just adjust that per the person I'm sending it to. So if I'm interested in asset management, I'll just switch it to asset management. So I'm basically looking at 3 different things right now. And then what you want to do is basically have a middle paragraph, which is the meat of it, a very concise summary. Just don't elaborate, just have it to the point. And then the third paragraph is what I'm proud of. And then another plug for yourself right at the end, something that you like to do, or like you really like to do. And then please find attached a copy of my resume. And a lot of times I write, look forward to speaking with you. So in their mind, they're saying, wow, I got this cold call. I don't know this person. He's looking forward to speaking with me. And in their mind, they're saying, okay, this is for real. They'll get back. So this was the chief strategy officer of a major bank on Wall Street. So I sent 2 of them to 2 CSOs. I got responses. And then this guy works as a CEO of the Americas for a big PR firm. So once again, it's to the point. You're showing respect for yourself. You appreciate the other person, and you respect the other person. And you're confident. You got to expect that things are going to happen. You got to expect that you're going to get the response. And if you don't, you move on. So then this is just emails about the CEO sent it to another person. He gets back to me and then basically asks me when I'm available. Be very flexible. Free on Monday. I can meet when you're available. Appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking with you. So in essence, the reason that it's rather easy to do this and is that there's so many options on LinkedIn. There's 673 million people registered on LinkedIn. So what I like to do is just find specific areas, like I said, who run those areas at those companies. And I have other groups that I can contact as well. So I just graduated from American University School of Communication. So anyone from American undergrad or American graduate communication is in play. I could contact them because I now have a similar interest, but I don't necessarily play to that interest. I play to just graduate with a master's from American and then move on to what I've done, what I like to do. Appreciate it. So that's that. And then, so another person I met, when it gets to a person you meet at an alumni event, I offer a little more flexibility. This week or next, we'd like to meet. This person got back to me right away. He was a global economist, chief economist at a firm. And then I didn't hear a response for a week after he said he's going to get back to me. Just send an email, all the best to you. Look forward to catching up. Be safe. That's just reminding him. He gets back. We meet. He connects me to another guy. And now I've got the other guy gave me 12 options. I picked 4 of them. He emailed me to 4, connected me to 4 other people. So so what it comes down to is with a resume, obviously you want to be clear and concise. I won the City Citizen of the Year award for building the risk management practice at Citi for risk rotational people. And one of the big things was interviewing people, especially kids right out of college. So, and some other people. So the thing is you want to be clear and concise. Your resume is just a template for the ability to tell your story. And your story should basically be a powerful story, positive, and then connect the dots on the resume. So don't crowd the resume, have it be open and highlight your major points and then tell your story. Everything should be positive. So when I hear a lot of times when people say, what questions should I ask in an interview? For me, I'm a firm believer, I've heard this a while back, is don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. So you want to move this process along. It's about relationships. I don't want to ask about, is the culture this or that or this or that. I want them to know I'm able to work in any culture, right? I don't want to ask questions that are going to have shine not a positive light on my ability to do the job and advance. So prior to interview, as you guys will all do, prepare. I would do 8 to 10 hours for an interview. thoroughly understand the description, become an expert in the industry based on your experience and knowledge on the market, research the company, obviously show that you know stuff, ask questions. In the interview, you've already prepared 10 hours. So you're positive, you're relaxed, have small talk. And what I like to do is have 3 points that I want to get across in that interview. So I'm a self-starter, I'm a team player, and I'm a leader. So similar to a debate in politics, I want to reference those no matter what the question is. I want to come back and make sure at the end of the interview, that person will say, how was it? Oh, well, he's definitely a team player, he's self-starter, and he's a leader. Because I've made examples of those throughout the questions, right? So, and once again, don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. Keep things moving. It's a smooth process. They want to get along with you. I remember one time on Wall Street, they said for sales and trading, the head guy in trading said, the only thing I look for, I want to look down that trading floor, down that row, and I want to point to a guy and see him pick up the phone and make that call, make that connection. That's the guy I want. He's a team player. He can do the job, and he, it's that simple. So then I just attached my resume. I really appreciate this group because I actually made a lot of changes based on, we had one of those breakout sessions. It was a huge benefit. And I added a lot of stuff based on that. So once again, it's just about being concise. It's about being clear and being gracious to the other people, getting the contact, bringing them into your network, and then building that connection. So I wouldn't worry about what to say. It's about how you say it, and it's about the confidence behind what you say. So don't worry about, for me, it's not like, oh, do I have to, find out what their interests are? Get the conversation going, find the hook, that what they like, what you have in common, and after the conversation, write that down. And in the future, you can always go back to that. So if it is sports, you can talk about sports with a person. Maybe they're from your hometown, but just get that thing going. And once you get that thing going, just it'll take flight, and you'll get the opportunities and so forth. So that's my presentation, and I'm open for any questions, and I have other feedback as well. Does anyone have any questions on experience, or any questions on LinkedIn or anything?
Hi, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll go ahead quickly. I just wanted to ask you, first of all, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. How did you build your confidence? You sound so confident, and I think that is so key when engaging with people, especially when you don't know them. How did you gain that confidence?
No, I appreciate that. It became, I guess when I was at Barclays after my sixth year of work, I left Barclays. I was basically doing a job for CBOs and so forth, and I was doing a good job, but I really wasn't in touch with my values and what I wanted to do. So from a personal experience, I was hanging out with friends, going out to bars and drinking and stuff like that, having a good time. For me, drinking wasn't a big thing. So what I did was I decided that moment in my life that I have to, and I don't have a drinking problem. It's just basically, I had to get back to sports. I had to get back to what I love and attach my values, right? So I said at that moment, I'm betting everything on myself. So forget what other people think. I know that my goals and my values and my where I'm going to go is much higher than anyone else thinks, right? Because I know inherently I'm capable of reaching that and beyond. So what I did is put everything in the past and put myself in pressure situations over and over and over. So it became a point where, instead of like I like to run. So instead of falling back in the routine of, say, people don't get back to you, what am I going to do on a Saturday morning? I would look up, are there any marathons? Let me run a marathon. So I'd sign up and I'd drive to New Paltz, New York, and run a marathon because I was in shape, didn't prepare, but that was the pressure I wanted. So I knew I was going to finish when I started. So I started playing rugby when I was 40. I'm headed to England to coach with the top league in the fall. I expect good things will happen. If people don't get back to, I don't really care because I know where I'm going to go. So and everyone has that ability. So for me, it's just betting everything entirely on myself. Opinions don't matter. I appreciate it. I want people to be okay. but it's also during this process, I really appreciate people's help, so that stuff shines through, and I think that's the connection. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. Very inspiring.
Thank you.
Hi, Mike. This is Mabel. Thank you for the presentation. It was excellent.
Thank you.
One thing I noticed that you put on is do not click on the profile of the person that you reached out to. Is there a reason why? Because normally I like to find out a little bit more background on an individual, just their basic, their professional background, their interest. Is there a reason why you recommend not to click on the profile?
Yeah, this is actually after contacting them and after they've accepted your request. So if I put a note in there, do you want to get a coffee this week? And they accept the invitation to connect, but don't respond to the note, I'll give it a week to show that I have other things going on. And then in a week's time, I'll say, hey, I appreciate you accepting the invitation. And then follow up and say, how about this week or next week for the coffee? So I don't want them to think I'm preoccupied with them. I want them to think I have a whole, which you do, because you have a lot of feelers out there. This is great. I got this one's going, one fire in the oven, so I got this thing going. Now I can reach out to another bunch of people. Now I have been more confidence I can get to these people. And then you just nonchalantly a week later, hey, how about a coffee this week or next? And I had a global head of communications for Legg Mason. I sent 2 or 3 over a month period. She finally got back to me. Oh, sorry, we were merging with Franklin Templeton. And then so it's like gets that process. But you could always get back to people. And if, say, they don't get back to you even after that week, wait 3 weeks. And sometimes say, hey, I forgot to attach my resume. And then basically get that going. All you really want is the thing to get started. So once you get that conversation going, they accept it, wait a week, get back to them, and so forth.
I have one recommendation, is that you consider, you can, in LinkedIn, you can actually save a PDF of someone's profile. And that way you have access to see it without constantly going and looking on the profile online.
That's great. I really appreciate that. Honestly, a lot of times I do is I copy and paste the information to a Word document. So that's actually great to know. I'll write that down. That's
yeah, it's one of the options that are up toward the top of the profile that'll actually say save a PDF of the profile, and that way you have it and you can read it thoroughly and reference it from that PDF.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
And I think another great thing about
question from somebody else, Mike. How much time a day or how much of your effort do you put into this focus on networking versus other activities during your job search?
I'd say probably like 2 hours on LinkedIn every day. And then I like to read Barron's Magazine, the whole thing front to back, and then the Wall Street Journal. And then I'll watch CNBC. So I want to constantly, I think the thing that gives me confidence and a lot of it is basically being prepared, so when I did, I did a sales and trading internal transfer, and basically I had to get people to know me. So I met with 80 people in the company for a coffee, and I read Barron's every single day, and I never want to get caught off guard. So if you want to go in an interview, just know everything and get in there and just nail it. So, and make that connection. And if the person's not a positive person, that's fine. That's them. But you're positive. And you will get that job, or whatever job you want. You will get that. And it's about, for me, my why, my driving force is what pushes me every single time. So I'm always going to be early. There's never going to be spelling mistakes on resumes. You got to have the details right and then prepare and then just nail it. So, but also another big thing in this group is that I have accountability partners as well, Krista Mahoney and Lamonda. So that's a great asset. And then Mike Hurley, actually, a friend of mine, actually told me about this group a while back and got me involved. And I have to tell you, everyone in this group is extremely qualified, and everyone in this group is going to do extremely well. So whatever you do, my advice is there are no limits. So whoever you're listening to as a coach or whatever, just know there are limits to what you can do. and just get in there and smile, and every single one of you is going to land.
Thank you, Mike. That's great.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate it.
Mike, will we be able to get a copy of this document?
Sure, I can send it out. Absolutely.
Thank you.
How would I do that? Do I put on the chat?
You
Mike,
can send it to Kishan, and Kishan will include it with the notes from the session today.
I appreciate it. All right, thanks, guys.
And Mike, I have a question. Is Kishan,
Yeah.
one or two people have asked, how do you keep track of all your networking? Do you use an Excel doc or a format? And if you do, and if it works for you, do you mind sharing it so others can benefit from it?
Yeah, well, I think most of my networking is on LinkedIn. So I have the people that have conversations going. And I have a daily schedule of what I'm going to do every day. So when I'm not networking in those 2 hours, I'm consistently learning, so forth. So that's a big thing. But I don't necessarily have like, I have what I'm going to do that day, and then I have my contacts on LinkedIn, and I'll have notes written down on a piece of paper. There's not actually a template, but it's just a running diary of what's happening.
So I guess this person's intent of their question is, how do you track a follow-up that's 10 days from today or 2 weeks from today? Or are you just looking at your notes every day and you remember, I need to follow up?
Well, it's in my mind. I know exactly who's in play, or like who I'm contacting. And I may write down on that day, contact this person, contact that person. But it's also in my head. There may be 5 or 6 people I'm having active conversations with. And if there is an appointment to talk to somebody, that's written down right away. So these are so important to me, like they'd be important to them, that you would just know what's coming up. And that's how I treat it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.